Hello, hi everyone, welcome back to Woo Can Cook. My name is Wesley, and this is a show where we are slowly cooking our way through all of the food from my childhood. Today we're taking a crack at hacking the new Gotujong Glazed fried chicken from Shake Shack that debuted recently, and using it as an excuse to touch on a request that a lot of folks have been asking for, which is a Korean fried chicken. I'll be using a tempura batter with the Kenji Lopez Alt double fried method for a super crunchy chicken, and pairing it with a quick wok fry approach in a glaze that borrows heavily from our Panda Express series, where we've done quite a bit of fried chicken already. We're mostly sticking pretty close to the original recipe with crinkle cut fries and a super soft pillowy potato bun, but also deviating in a few spots where I disagreed with the Shake Shack choices, mainly in our use of chicken thigh instead of chicken breast, which I'll dive into more shortly. So let's get into it. Okay, so as with pretty much all of our savory recipes, I'm starting off with 4 cloves of crushed and minced garlic, followed by about 2 tablespoons or 1 inch's worth of finely minced ginger. This is going to head into our wok very first for a nice base layer of umami for some aromatic qualities. Now, the Shake Shack recipe features some crunchy green onions as a nice topping finish, so I'm separating the whites and greens here, then slicing up the whites to use with our aromatic elements in the wok fry. Then I'm chopping up the greens on a bias to create some nice wide bits of green onions for our garnish. The bias cut is going to be super important here because it's going to help give the greens a fighting chance to stand out in our fried chicken sandwich, where if we're not careful, they'll just disappear completely into the kimchi. Next up, I'm slicing up some kimchi here. Now, I do realize that the original Shake Shack recipe calls for a white kimchi slaw, not kimchi, but I ultimately decided to skip out on this, partly because it's a lot of work and I just didn't feel like making it, but also I think you'll barely notice the difference anyway because, let's be honest, the chicken is clearly the star of the show here. If you're really committed though, I went ahead and linked a Great Claire Saffit's recipe for a kimchi slaw in the description below here. Moving on to our gochujang glaze, I'm starting, as you might guess, with 2 tablespoons of gochujang. Then I'm following this up with some sweet elements. This is 2 tablespoons of honey to thicken things up, and 2 tablespoons of sweet chili sauce for a bit of added heat. Then I'm tying everything together with 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, a pinch of kosher salt, and lastly, a tablespoon of kimchi brine. Now, the brine here is definitely optional, especially because depending on the age of your kimchi, you may or may not be able to squeeze any brine out. But if you can, this stuff is packed with fishy umami and will really bring the glaze to life. Moving on to our tempura batter, I'm starting by separating out 2 egg whites, which requires 3 separate bowls. We're cracking the egg over our first bowl, then depositing the yolks into the second bowl and transferring our whites to the third bowl. This process is going to ensure that you don't end up accidentally dumping yolks into your whites, which, as you may recall, has happened quite a few times in this series. Moving on though, I'm adding a 1/4 cup each of AP flour, cornstarch, and water, then whisking this up until a smooth batter forms. Now, a quick side note about our chicken. I note that the original recipe uses chicken breast instead of chicken thigh. I have a couple guesses as to why this might be. It could partially be because chicken breast is less fatty and hypothetically might result in a crispier fried chicken, which I don't really buy. I think the real reason is for marketing purposes because chicken breast is quote-unquote healthier. You can't hear them, but I just used sarcastic air quotes. Obviously, this is silly because it's fried chicken. So I'm going to use chicken thigh here because I think the extra fat is going to be a whole lot tastier. Over on the stove, I have my oil heating up in the wok to 350 degrees F, or just past 350 to accommodate for temperature change as soon as that chicken hits the oil. We're double frying here, so I'm going pretty briefly for the first fry, about 3 to 5 minutes until very lightly golden. Then I'm going to pull these out of the wok, rest for 5 minutes, and add it back to the oil for our second fry until deeply golden brown. You'll find that the first initial fry pulls a lot of moisture out. This allows for an extra crunchy breading to develop on the second fry, while also leaving the chicken inside still quite tender. We're looking for 165 degrees F for our internal temperature, and then we're moving on to our glaze. Back over on the stove, I've removed my fryer oil and wiped down my wok, then reheated it and added back about 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil to cook in. As always, long yao for your non-stick surface. Going in first are our aromatics, garlic, ginger, and the whites of my green onions. I'm tossing this for about 10 seconds until fragrant, then adding my glaze to the wok followed by my fried chicken. Then I'm tossing everything together pretty briefly, just long enough to coat the chicken for about 1 to 2 minutes. Then we're removing everything and we're ready to plate. I'm starting with some fresh potato buns. Now these are super fresh and soft, so I'm not even gonna toast these. Then I'm adding a layer of kimchi, followed by our chicken, then topping with the greens of our green onions, a pinch of sesame seed, and finally, the obligatory side of crinkle cut fries. Now, I know that this sandwich has gotten some flack from the eater reviews about being relatively mediocre, but this is genuinely one of the best sandwiches that I've ever made. The double fry on our tempura batter gives us an insane level of crunchiness, and our glaze is just the right combination of complex sweetness and rich umami. Also, if you've never eaten fried chicken off a fresh potato bun, you're truly missing out on one of the greatest experiences in life. I was also pretty skeptical about crinkle cut fries since, as with many folks, crinkle cut is firmly at the bottom of my list for potato preparations, but if you're making fried chicken and you happen to have a bag of these sitting in your freezer, toss them into the fryer at the very end, and it will at the very least beat the pants off of any baked or toasted French fry that you've ever made at home. Okay, so that's it everyone. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you give this one a shot. At the very least, we touched on two of my favorite fundamentals behind deep frying, which are the tempura batter and the double fry technique. If you live here in the States and have tried the Shake Shack gochujang fried chicken, let me know how this one compares. We've got a whole bunch more hack recipes plus some more authentic stuff from my mom's cookbook coming up, and I'll also be cooking this one live next week as well, so stick around and subscribe for all that stuff too. As always, like, comment, share, push some buttons, and just generally be a good internet human. Alright, I'll see you soon.